Hey guys, welcome back to Garage Dads, the place where we pull up a chair. Hey guys, welcome back to the Garage Dad Podcast, the place where we pull up a chair, crack a cold one, and talk about the high stakes and even higher rewards of being a father. Today, we bring on part 2 of our conversation with one of the best dads in the game, Cody Jamison. We're covering the full spectrum of the dad experience of a legendary boys trip to the Ryder Cup. Those heavy, quiet moments that stop you in your tracks. Cody opens up about his experience, as well as you're going to miss the realization while watching his sons practice. And he shares a deeply personal experience on his father's recent Alzheimer's diagnosis. It's a raw look at a man who spent his life giving the shirt off his back and the frustration of seeing him in the struggles to get that same help in return. It's an episode about legacy, friendship, and making every second count. Let's get into it. All right, Cody, on to the next topic. I know that we've talked about this in the past on other episodes, and then you've had some good stories you've told me. I know you had a big story this fall, because it was fall, September. You got to spend some dad time, some time with the boys. Tell everybody out there about your boys' trip.
Yeah, we try to do something every fall, I guess, around that time of year, whether it be a short weekend across the river playing golf or, something. We've kind of made it a thing the last 2 years. But, man, Landon ran across practice round tickets for the Ryder Cup around this time last year. Bethpage Black, Long Island, New York, baby. I was skeptical at first, but I was like, you know what? That's the Super Bowl of golf. I'm going. Practice round tickets was $250. Very, very reasonable when we looked in and got the opening ceremony because of weather the next day. We looked into a pile of stuff. But yeah, it was big, Beach. It was big. I have 3 kids, been married. That trip's up there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's right up there with the kids and the wife.
Oh, man, is it ever. Yeah, that's like, they say when you die, all your, in the last 7 minutes, it'll play your greatest memories, you know what I mean? That Ryder Cup trip will be in there a couple times, for sure.
So, who all went on that trip with you?
Landon White, he's the one that kind of originated, overseeing everything, and then Blake Trueblood and Zach Brads.
Blood and Brad.
Yep, Bloods and Brad.
The White Oak boys.
Yep.
The Motown boys.
Yeah, them boys were many years apart in school, but still the alumni pulls them together, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that orange and black, it's all runs.
It runs deep, yeah, and they both was coached by Mr. Wright.
Yeah.
That's a brotherhood right there.
Yeah. So how'd that trip go? What all did you guys do other than this?
Oh man, we took off after dinner, I think on Monday. Our tickets wasn't until Wednesday. So we sat out Monday evening around dinner time, drove up at night. We got to Columbus, and Landon had already booked around that week for a 12:30 round in New Jersey for Skybridge Golf Course. Beautiful place. So on the way up, I was like, dude, let's see if we can just catch around there. When we get there, we're due in like 7:30. Or no, we was due in at like 4:30, 5 o'clock or something. And then, so I'm on the way up, and I thought I had Sky Bridge pulled up, but I had Skyview pulled up on freaking Golf Night and booked this thing. So I tear off into a big fit, throw my phone in the deck. Man, I just effed up, blah, blah, blah. And then a couple minutes go by, I cooled off, and I searched exactly where this golf club was. It was actually only 45 minutes to an hour away from, I think I lied. I think we had an hour and 15 drive from Skyview, the one I booked, to Skybridge. We just needed time to eat up that morning, right? So we booked a quick 9, which you couldn't do at Skyview. So had to book a senior 18, and we told him we was going to play 9. We ended up sneaking around 18 before we took off. Yeah, we drove up that night, got there a little early. We made pretty good time. We got there 4:30 or so and slept in the parking lot, played our quick, beautiful round. It was awesome. I felt like a freaking creator. I had my tripod with me. I filmed T-box shots. I took it out on the green. Man, I just filmed it. I tried to be memorable, but also live in the moment during the trips. It's the tripod. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I had it all around, and eventually I think we was on 17 or 18. They ended up shutting off our car at like And pricks wasn't just playing 9. So after a small delay and a couple pitchers with our thing, they turned on our cart and we proceeded down the hill. We didn't even finish the last hole. I think we took off out of the tee box, but left our balls and went on. Mind you, this is a beautiful place. We had a very piss poor morning for golf. I mean, it wasn't brutal cold or nothing. It was a little chilly, but it was overcast. Golly, it just looks. Yeah, at least they gave us the course. It wasn't cart path or nothing. But yeah, it was a beautiful place. Lots of elevation changes over that way, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we got in the car and headed to our 12:30 in Jersey. Also in Jersey, I guess. Skyview was in Jersey, and then we headed to Sky Bridge and played 9 there. And we proceeded to have beverages and etc. It was awesome. And then we carted back to our beautiful hotel out on Long Island after that. I think Landon ended up paying, I forget what I even paid. I got a couple beers and whatever, but I think Landon got a couple high noons and a couple seltzers, and he ended up spending like $61. He just gave her 100 and told her to keep it. Yeah, it's pretty costly up that way. I'd hate to live up there.
Yeah. Yeah, wouldn't I cut out for all that? I'll give you 80 and let you keep it.
Right. But no, the starter there was awesome. And I appreciate and love a good starter. Oh man.
That's the greatest job in the world. The starters are the most happy people, and I say that all the time. When they're just like, "Good morning, gentlemen."
Yes.
Like, whoa, dude.
And then give you the most beautiful detailed layout of every hole, what you want to do and everything, and you're trying to take it all in. And you're like, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah,
like, I'm not gonna remember.
Like I went to Davu down across the river in Covington, and that was probably the best starter with the most knowledgeable. You know what I mean? He's like, all right, hey, 1, 2, 3, go left because it's gonna go right. Hey, next 3, opposite, going right to left. And then when you get to 7, 8, 9, just put them right in the middle. It's all valid.
That's how I've lived my life.
But yeah, I couldn't even tell you what the guy said it. Out there at Skybridge, man, I was just living in the moment, just looking around like, ooh, squirrel. Look at that bridge in the background. The views, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm for the views in golf.
Yeah.
And both those courses had both. And they were so different in their own little way. Who knew you could travel an hour and 30 minutes and get a whole different scenery like that? Especially in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
But as far as golf on Long Island, we didn't play a lick. Yeah, we got in after our drunken escapade on the golf course there. Settled into our hotel room, went and grabbed some grub and got some rest because that Wednesday packed a big day. I think our Uber picked us up 5:50 that morning. Oh yeah. We was showered and shaved in bed 7 o'clock like good boys.
Yeah, I was like, that's
already dressed in our Ryder gear.
That's an early night.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Which we needed it after that golf course adventure. It was pretty.
Yeah,
we was pretty tore up trying to.
That is one of those perks about when you're like, you get a little older and it's like, you don't have the guy who you get back. It's like, you really want to go out?
Well,
do something else? And you're just like,
dude, Bethpage Black, we knew we was in for a marathon.
You're like, that sounds awesome, but
yeah,
I don't want to die tomorrow.
So anyway, we go on to bed, wake up, and go down and eyeball the continental breakfast. Not it. Not the play. I couldn't even tell you what I had to eat that morning heading to Best Play. Couldn't even tell you what I had to eat. But I couldn't even tell you who picked us up there too. You wouldn't believe it, but the Chinese and the Russians on Long Island is crazy. We never got a regular white guy for an Uber. They was all Russian, foreign, never spoke a bit of English. Little bit. It was all broken. So I think the sleeper cells are already here. You know what I mean? I'm telling you. Heck, I had a chew in, and that one Russian guy was. And I was like, can I get the window? And he's like, no AC. And he turned the AC up more. I was like, spit this chew in your floorboard? You know what I mean? Like, no AC. Yeah. But yeah, we never had a normal Uber guy the whole time. So we cut up with 2 Asian guys and four Russians the whole Uber trip.
Yeah.
It is. Just I would love a little sense of normalcy, I guess, going Highland County to Long Island. I was asking too much.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big ask. That's a big ask.
Yeah. But anyway, we Ubered out to Bethpage, and I think we entered on the blue course in the middle of a fairway. That was the Uber parking. It was crazy stuff I ever seen. Like, it was a field of steel plates, this Uber parking lot on a fairway. I'm not lying. There was a sprinkler at some 163 right where I got picked up. Native grass and everything. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They shut down, and then there was a couple ways we could have got there. Ubered, you could park, and when you parked, you got shuttled, and it was 30-minute shuttle. So you had to park on like South Long Island and get shuttled there 30 minutes. Or you could get Ubered, or you could ride in on the Long Island, what do they call it? The Long Island Railroad. We debated that, but we just Landon went ahead and sacked up and got us an Uber there, out. Yeah.
What's that Uber running you?
Gosh, I don't know. We split it up. I forget what I paid. But speaking about paying, man, but by the time we split it between four of us for everything, it was pretty reasonable. I think it was only $500 where I left, and that's for the room, the ticket, what else we have to eat. That's about it. And the rest was all, what you ate was out of pocket.
Yeah.
And then when you got to the Ryder Cup, everything was free. Everything besides your alcohol.
Really?
Free. Yeah. But anyway, let me get there. Like I said, Uber parking lot, steel plates, get dropped off, and you walk in lines. Like you had row 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, and in between these two rows, you would have sections you walked out of. So they'd bring in a fleet of cars. Everybody would get in the walk lanes, clear it. Then the cars would leave. They'd truck in another fucking line.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was orchestrated pretty well. Honestly,
Yeah.
They kept it moving. But like I said, I came in. I don't even know what hole. I'm just guessing hole 9 in the middle of the fairway in this Uber parking lot. Walk in. The gates wasn't quite open. We got there early, so we thumbed our butt for a little bit, standing out there with a bunch of others. And it wasn't the people you would expect to see. There was people you know what I mean. Like there was 400-pound people, shoes blown out, just ready to go. Like there's no way this guy's making it all day. There was people up there you wouldn't expect to see, just all ethnicities. The foreign, there was we seen a lot of foreigners. Like they travel pretty decent. There was a bunch of Scottish people there repping Rory and the boys. As far as us yelling anything vulgar, I wasn't there to see it. Like I said, I was only there for the practice round.
Yeah.
So I didn't get on all the Rory shit talk and all that stuff. I did hear a little bit of chirping the day I was there. It got pretty heavy towards Rory, but I wouldn't say it was much out of line, like towards the final days of what we all heard of and seen. But we get in the gates. Gatorade's there handing out free vitamin water. And a few wins. They had a putt and got pretty close, but I didn't get her. But, you could have got a water and a towel. And they handed out these electrolyte packets. Now I know why they was there, why they was trying to feed you full of electrolytes, because that place is gnarly.
Well, they were selling them for
they was free.
$24.
No, they was free. Everything was free there, dude. You ate for free. You snacked for free. Everything was free. But anyway, we get in the gates, walk around. We got there. The practice round consists of celebrity round. So I got to watch. The first flight took off was Peyton Manning, and I forget who was with Peyton. And they played, two foreign celebrities. And then the second group is what the group we followed around was Michael Strahan and Miranda Lambert. And they teed up against Catherine Zeta-Jones and Paul Gasol. Pretty good battle. But I think Strahan and Lambert pulled out the dub. Believe it or not, Michael Strahan is he can stripe it. He's got a weird little thing he does, like a little Scotty shuffle. You know what I mean?
He got her done for America.
Man, he got it done for America. Yeah. Miranda ain't no help. Topped about everything out of the box, but she was a good time. It didn't have Strahan freaking dying. We got to the third hole and we played it right. We didn't go up to hole 2. We just walked up to the third tee box so we could have a good spot. And we got up there and we was waiting. Miranda never been over and put her own ball on her tee. Her caddy always did it. There wasn't nobody gazing because, Miranda's something to look at now. She's thickened up a little bit. Well, she's probably always been something to look at, right? But I've never been close enough. As I was that day at Ryder Cup. But anyway, her caddy tosses that ball in there and he looks up to us and we're right there, man. He says, I think my golfer needs a little encouragement, guys. Let's get loud here. You know what I mean? And then Landon's like, I got you. Hey, a lot of cigarettes. Put a shell on that shotgun. Let's go. You know what I mean? Hey, Strahan freaking hee-haw laugh, pointed at Landon. It was a moment, and Miranda's just like, I know, right? I know, right? And then she proceeds to top it right out the front of the tee box. And then I think Paul got him green side. Not there. Catherine did all right. And Strahan put one down over the hill, actually. It was awesome because we needed this moment. Because we went down over the hillside, stood over the ball. Strahan puts one perfect up on the green. Miranda's like, I ain't even going. And then we followed him up to the green, all of us. And there was a moment, Blake took his phone out, had Miranda right here, got a selfie. And then I'm on the other side of Miranda. It was a sweet moment.
You guys are holding hands.
Oh, it was
for some
awesome.
weird
Yeah,
reason.
straight hand down there with a gap. You know what I mean? And funny, I say that. Hole 2 kind of dog-legged left, and he had his second shot, his approach shot into the green, and it kind of jawed around, and somebody hollered out, "Way to hit the gap, Mike!" We made the camera, you know, some lady turned and was like, "Are you having fun or what?" Me and Landon was all like, for the live feed camera that was there. We saw Scotty. He was me to the camera. You know what I mean? He's a snacker out there. Practice round, he was snacking. He came out of Force T-Bucks just snacking away.
Just a full turkey sandwich.
Yeah, and then we got sidetracked because there was an app and there was 4 golden tickets hidden throughout the map. So we was looking for golden tickets for a while. I think Landon tracked it. I couldn't tell you what we walked that day, but it was up there.
What's a golden
and then
ticket?
Hell, Landon I forget what it won us, to be honest, but the app told us that they was out there on the course, just placed in random spots. Never heard anything about it, but we gave up on that pretty soon too.
Yeah, you're just like, we're not here for this shit.
And then we saw, like I said, we saw the celebs off, and then the USA boys started right behind them on T-Bucks 1.
Yeah.
So we went back to watch them out. And one was actually reachable from the T-Bucks. So we would stand over the trees they would hit over. You know what I mean? Heading to the T-Bucks, because you could in that little section on 1.
Yeah.
It was pretty sweet. Watch the balls fly over your head. Bryson was going for it. JT would go for it.
Yeah. Those balls just come whistling.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, USA was locked in. They didn't give us nothing. Really, there wasn't no daps, no handshakes, no autographs, no nothing. Meanwhile, Team Europe's out there signing everything.
That should have been a sign.
Meanwhile, Team Europe's out there cutting up everything. And then me and Landon ran across this mom and son duo trying to get an autograph. And I forget if it was, I think it was JT. He was like, "Hey, JT, how about an autograph?" And he's like, "No, buddy, we're busy." You know what I mean? I can't right now. The boy spouted out, "Europe's doing it." And he's like, "They want you know what I mean?" He's like, "Buddy, they want you to like them. You know, they want you to like them. They're not from here, blah, 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 blah." He spouted off something else. And then the mom just spoke up over him. She's like, "Well, it's working." JT, you know, his response to the kid was, "They want you to." Well, mom said, "But work it, bud."
I don't like JT.
He's from across the river.
Where?
He's from Kentucky.
He is?
I swear.
I didn't know.
I want to say it's around Louisville. Don't hold me to it. He might be a Lexington boy. I swear to God, I'm Googling right now.
I'm Googling.
Yeah. Hey, Siri, can you look up, Google search Justin Thomas for me? Wikipedia. I need you to donate really bad if you could. Born April 29th, 1993. Boys, you're and me. You're straight in it. Louisville, Kentucky.
Where do you go to college?
Man, he's Alabama.
Yeah, that's what I've always
University
thought.
of Alabama. You know, the only reason I know that is my buddy Landon. Roll Tide.
Damn. Still don't make me like him anymore.
Yeah,
because he says stuff like that.
Yeah, he's, "Well, buddy, that's the thing. They want you to think that it's working." Yeah, they shit the bed until the last day. It's just too late to turn it on. But anyway, yeah, we watched the pros take off, and I noticed Europe was the only one to play 18 that day. USA, I noticed their groups would go out and play real slow, and they would really take their time around par 5s on their approach shots if they didn't make it, and they would play greens around par 5s, but they just played that front 9, as where Europe went around and played all 18 that day. So I think that was a lot of it.
Here's the ingredients, boys.
Yeah, that, and I don't know if Keegan Bradley was the right man for the job.
I think he'd have been better on the team.
Yes, because he was just heating up towards that, right? I think he won in July. Didn't he take the FedEx in July or something, right?
Something like that.
I mean, I can't remember how it all played out, but he was heating up. He had an 8, a 4th, a 1st. He was really heating up coming into that. So yeah, I could see why. Yeah, but with also when we got in there, we found out a lot of places we weren't allowed into. But after that, we ran across Keegan practicing because they was expecting weather that Thursday, so they bumped up the opening ceremony to Wednesday. So we got that for free. So we got to watch the celebs out, the practice round. Then we got the opening ceremony that evening. We just hung out all day. We lagged around. I think we split up a couple times. I think Brad's and Blake went up, tried to get a bunch of autographs from Europe, and me and Landon, you know, we're built different. We need to take a little break. We was hitting that snack chat, and then we'd I think it was Tins fairway on the red course up there. Me and him we fell asleep for a little while. That bench grass is different up here. We took a little nap. We was like schoolgirls.
Lay back to back like Bubba and Forrest Gump.
No, it was more like we was like on our sides looking at each other like this. just like meeting you apart, laying across this beautiful fairway. But yeah, like I said, you didn't pay for nothing besides your alcohol. You can walk in there and get a water, a Pepsi, a grandma's cookie, a fruit, a hamburger, a hot dog. They had breakfast sandwiches till 10:30. It was, man, it was awesome.
Yeah. I didn't know it was like that.
Mhm.
I didn't know it was like that.
And then, like I said, we got the opening ceremony. New Yorkers hate their governor. She spoke. Carson Daly was the host. Yeah, the golfers' wives are freaking smoking. They brought all them out for the opening ceremony too. I don't know why they showcase the wives. I guess golfer wives have it bad. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, opening ceremony was awesome. I noticed there was 3 Blackhawks came out and flew in the background, like you could see a ways up there. So there was 3 Blackhawks, sat out there in the distance and just swirled for a while. I was like, what's that all about? But anyway, they started to do the anthem, and then man, when then things came over, I turned back to the guys, like we watched them things fly over, and I turned back to the guys, and my hair was standing up, giving me chills. It was some like bald eagles was running through my blood.
You're just like, this is America.
Mm-hmm.
You felt like in that moment.
And it was, like I said, it was a very respectable event. I think they played their national anthem prior to ours. And it was neat to see. Meanwhile, I'm out there in a white polo and red and white American flag pants, Team USA.
What did Landon wear?
It's hard to say. I can't remember. He's pretty casual. I think he's in a pair of shorts and polo.
Really?
Yeah, nothing. No razzle dazzle. I was the only dummy. About 2 months prior to the trip, I was like, dude, let's dress up as revolutionary. Like, he wanted to be Ben Franklin, and I was going to be like George Washington.
That would have been the greatest.
But could you imagine being out there all day in that shit?
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
We didn't pull the trigger on it. But could you imagine, though, our foursome, as restful as soldiers? If I ever go do it again, I will. I will pull the trigger and do it.
Just to show.
Yeah, I got a lot of hits on the pants. People love the pants. But then, we wrapped up that evening, and I think we got we got back and then went and got some good grub and called her a good job again.
Yeah.
And then we headed out the next day. We went down, hit a PGA store, and went out and saw the beach at Long Island, and then migrated on into Manhattan because we had tickets for the Yankees game that evening, the next evening. So we went around and sightseed. We went ahead and went on down to Manhattan, went and saw the Statue of Liberty and checked the memorial out. That's a very beautiful tribute to all them people who lost their lives. Obviously we was right there, so we got to see the the new tower, the World Trade Center 1. That was pretty neat. But then we loaded up and headed to the Bronx. And on the way up to the Bronx, we took the long way and went through Madison Square Garden. Well, not Madison Square Garden, Times Square. But we just drove through, and that was miserable too. Man, we got cut off by fire trucks, school buses, transit buses. Dude, when you get cut off up there, you get like, it's a New York second. It's bam, cut off. Horns out the ass. Not for me. Luckily, Blake was driving. They tried to get me to drive, but I wouldn't have the nerves.
Oh, yeah. Blood.
Yeah.
Blood's like, I've been through this.
Yeah, Blood taxied us through there, and then we got up to the Bronx, and we ended up going up and hitting the Yankee Tavern before the game. I got catcalled a few times. I was in a Spencer Steer jersey. So we was passing the park heading to the Yankee Tavern, and I took a picture of, the Babe Ruth Plaza, and I snapped a picture. It's a beautiful park. We was heading up through there, and I heard somebody catcall me like, hey! And I heard him. And meanwhile, when I took that picture, the three I was with, Brad and Landon, and Blake was already half block from me. And I was getting catcalled over my shoulder trying to catch up with them guys. I heard him. He's like, the Reds never win. I was like, knew it. So I just kept going. He's like, hey! And by that time, them 3 turned around. I'm just like, keep going, keep going. So we got out of there and eased on to the tavern and ran into a crackhead or two.
Yeah, that's where you just want to think.
It was crazy. The subway going above your head and water dripping off. It was neat. I needed to see it. And we got in there and caught the tail end of the Reds game that day at the tavern. And I think they had Pittsburgh came to town, and that's the evening Navi Marte freaking robbed that home run in right field. We got to watch it from the Yankee Tavern.
Nice.
And watch that get seeded, and I knew we was going to make the playoffs after that one. So we went on to the third or fourth gate, the gate behind home. Stood in line there, ended up standing beside some guys from Lexington, I want to say. They stood in line with us, and we cut up for a while, and they was also in town for the Ryder Cup, catching a Yankees game.
Okay.
Cut up with them a while. Then, man, we walked in. They finally cut the gates open, and we walked in, and we kind of all did our, own thing in that first couple seconds. I beamed right down below home plate, just to take it all in, right? Because 12-year-old Cody, on the inside was crying. And I eventually started to catch some 33-year-old Cody tears, standing there in that moment. But, and then all of a sudden I felt this big old bear paw and it was landing, catching me in my moment. I was dried her up real quick and he was like, take a picture with me.
Get the fuck away.
Yeah, man. Yeah. He's like, I was like, man. So he snapped a picture and then Blake walks up and he's like, man, I was crying. I was like, I teared up a little bit too, What little kid ain't Yankees fans, until you wake up and realize they're all this damn money up here. They shouldn't have 27 fucking titles.
Yeah.
It's like the, modern day Dodgers. That's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
That's your new Yankees. Yeah. 10-year-old Katie sat there and cried behind home plate for a minute, taking that all in, snapping all in pictures. And then we migrated out to our section, which we lucked into. We didn't know when we booked our ticket, but we was out there with the bleacher creatures. And I had heard of the bleacher creatures from, believe it or not, I booked the whole series of the Mets series. My cousin is a big Mets guy, so I was at the park that whole weekend, and I sat beside a guy from Jersey. He was there with his boy and his boy's good buddy. They was in town because Miami played the Colts in a preseason game.
Yeah.
And they're big Miami guys. So that's closest, a little closer. But they came down and caught a Reds game. I just happened to sit beside him and I told him where I was sitting. He's like, oh, dude, you're out there with the guys that they catcall the lineup in the visitor half of the first inning. So they'll catcall every position player, the bleacher creatures. They'll just start clapping and chanting. They'll do the lineup. So Trent Grisham led off center fielder. So they'll just Trent. Until Trent, takes his hat off or flashes his glove or waves at him or does something. And they'll go down through that whole lineup, and so we got to see Judge do a big flex and Jazz Chisholm do a backflip pretty much. And it's pretty neat to sit out there at the bleacher creatures. They're one of a kind out there. They wasn't even playing the Mets. They played the White Sox that night and you'd hear, hey, and fuck the Mets, you'd just hear random. Yeah, I think I talked like I was from New England for probably 3 weeks after I got back. Yeah, gabagoo. Just running around talking like, hey, Tony, just talking like them. Probably, it was about 3 weeks. That's a safe bet. But yeah, they hate the Mets. They're Yankee Stadium. We gotta watch them win. We actually snuck out before the rush just to hit the road. We ended up battling back to Allensburg, Pennsylvania, and booking a tea time that morning at Morgan Hill Golf Course. Nice. Fly by night on the way out of there that night. So we get back there, stay at a decent place, and go play 18 holes that morning at a beautiful Morgan Hill Golf Course country club, and ease on back this way. We watched the Ryder Cup on Landon's iPad on the way back.
Nice.
You got to watch them get close, but not get it. But, yeah, very memorable trip.
Yeah,
it was nice to get up that way.
How did the wife respond with this trip, and how?
Of course, it was, oh, yeah, sure, while I stay here with your kids and do this and that and all the things while you're gone. Of course, I got some flack for that, but luckily she's understanding and very appreciative of all the things I do. And she knows that I need those things.
Yeah.
You need that time off.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things is like to realize how important that time is to have for yourself, whether that's with your friends or with just yourself. And I think that's one of those things where it's like I bow hunt some. I mostly gun hunt, but I'm not like I love watching, like seeing deer. I love, like, that's what I do for fun, is drive around and look for deer.
Yeah.
Not like I'm poaching them.
Right.
It's just, I love seeing them.
Yep.
But
my buddy B will do the same.
She didn't understand that for the longest time. And then she knew that, like, I needed that, or is going to, like, eventually you're going to crack. And I had to realize that she needed to I almost had to make her go do stuff with her friends and go do anything. It was just like you're a fantastic mom. Go, but you got to go do something. Right. You got to go do this.
I think after a month, after I got back, Lex, they had a fall fest at work.
Yeah.
And they're Sacramento based. So she got to go out that way.
Yeah.
And spend the tail end of the week out there.
Yeah, I think that is something that is good to have that be seen, recognized by both husband and wife. And yeah, that's awesome that let's be honest, she probably did catch a couple of the backhanded comments like that one, but worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it. I know that my deer hunting has been nothing compared, it still adds a little extra on her plate where it's like, yeah, I'm going to be, and we have 5 friends come in from out of town that, they stay at a Airbnb and we'll do stuff at the evenings, go dinner. We had a card game where I may not be coming home till 11 or 12 o'clock at night. Does she love that? Probably not. But does she understand that? Yeah. I mean, it's not something I'm doing every week, every month. I do it for 4 days a year. That's awesome that she's understanding of that, knows that you need that time, and, backbone needs a break. But backbone needs a break. So in the past, we've talked about how we were gonna start a segment of in a couple segments, and you had our Garage Dad joke of the week, and our next segment is the you're gonna miss this moment. What is a moment that you look back on, or that is happening now, that you if you're looking back on in the past, you wish you would have stopped and kind of took that in more, or things now that you kind of take for granted or think, like, I don't want to do this. This is kind of, but at some point you're going, what's annoying or what is frustrating, you're going to look back on and go, I'm going to miss this moment. What would you say is I'm going to miss this moment, or I missed this moment?
I'd say going up and just sitting in on the ball practices. Alex, this is his last year. I can sit in on a ball practice. I won't be able to get that joy next year when he's in middle school, 7th and 8th there. So, I guess that's one. I'd say any moment that brings him joy, you get to watch the fireworks go off upstairs. So I'd love to relive any of them moments, right?
Yeah.
Watching them get it, watching the light go off.
Yeah, and I think that kind of thinking about them in sports and being successful, it's like all that work you did, and I know in the last you talked about Huck spending the time on the hitting into the net for hours, and then when he finally that all starts to pay off.
That's what I preach. I preach to him. I was like, what you get in or what you put in is what you get out of it.
Yeah,
and that just ain't baseball. But you can translate that to life, right?
Yeah,
what you get in, you get out of it, what you put into it.
Home is where you make it.
No, yeah, exactly.
Well, that's awesome, and I know that they probably don't. I'm sure that when Alex sees you practice now, he's probably like, Dad, I don't know what my dad's doing here. But at some point, he'll be like, I wish my dad was here.
No, that's the thing.
And in the same breath, like you said, you're not taking this for granted now, and because at some point, when you get into middle school and high school, that is a firm policy.
Yeah.
Parents cannot be at practice.
Right.
And you don't realize how much you take that little stuff for granted of just getting to that. And you think, I don't want to take him to another practice. But let's be honest, at some point, practices, you're not going to have to take him because he can drive. Or you're not going to have to take him because he graduated. Or, he has his own kids. And that's wild to think how fast that stuff moves on. I never understood until I was older about how fast it goes. And I think that's kind of what scares me. That's a little bit of what made me think about that, is the segment of like, you're going to miss this. And I mean, probably realistically, the backbone for the show was, I don't want to miss this, and talking about kind of embracing and taking in those moments, because at some point they're not going to be here anymore. They're not, all the times that I think, man, I wish my kids would. I wish they could go stay at their grandparents' house so me and Mom could have a little alone time. I mean, just to spend some time having a conversation without hearing mom, dad. But at some point, they're going to not be there, or they're going to be there, but they're going to be nowhere to be found because they're doing something else.
And I'm thankful for my wife. She's very mindful of that.
Yeah, and that's something that I definitely think a lot of things we take for granted, we all do. And I think that's important to sit back and kind of watch those moments and remind yourself of that. and remind yourself of when you get annoyed with them or you get frustrated or you think, I don't want to go do this. At some point, they're not going to need you for that anymore. There's not going to be a baseball practice to go to. There's not going to be a football practice or a basketball practice or wrestling, or they're not going to need you to help you with their homework because they're not in school anymore. And that's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that I think of when I'm telling those stories and when the thought process behind all that. One last one I had for you, and I it's something that really stood out to me because it's been a while ago. And I know that you said that your dad being heated over the road.
Concrete. He was concrete too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought he was, but him not being around as much.
Right.
You didn't have as many stories to tell, but something I actually saw on TikTok and just thinking about him as maybe somebody that you looked up to or maybe in the opposite, you took for granted. I don't know about time with him and those moments that maybe you missed where he was gone.
Yeah.
A lot. And I know we talked about how when he called and, he was disappointed in you. But I got to read this because I don't want to mess it up. Because it was so well worded, Cody. You probably chat GPT'd it or found it somewhere, but it was awesome. And then I don't remember what the music was. Raised by a man who deserves more than he got. And then you put that sticks with me every day. When you put that and just kind of thinking about that as your dad, what was your thought in that? And just kind of give us a...
So Dad, he worked hard his whole life, right? He was a workhorse. People depended on him a lot. He was a very giving soul as well, When people needed a hand, he was there. And he always, he gave money to families that needed it and the whole nine. And he was always, he wasn't in this life for himself. But no, here, he's been diagnosed, he's Alzheimer's, dementia.
Mm-hmm.
He's ate up and he's useless to all these people now, right? Nobody's there for you when you ain't got nothing to give for them. I've seen him give hand over fist to all these people, but he could use some love right now, and ain't nobody there, and shit sticks with me,
Yeah.
Yeah, tough.
Yeah. I think that's one of those things that is kind of like I said, the opposite of that, and where I think it's not taking those for granted because you don't want to be like one of those people who are not there for him. And it's wild to think how things kind of evolve back around, and it's like at some point your parents are going to need you there for them,
right? And
I think that's important, and I hope that you still are able to keep that relationship with your dad and be there for him. Because
I talked to him before I came over here. He sounded the best he's sounded in quite some time.
Yeah.
So that was good to hear him.
Good.
But yeah, it's just they need you to. They don't.
It's I know a lot of people like that. I wish I didn't, but I do. And I hate to hear that. And I hope that things, get better, and you wish that all those people could change, but we all know.
Yep. I think
that's where it's like, it's one of those things where it's just like, it's so hard to be a good person when there's so many people like that.
Oh, I know. Man, yeah.
And I know that
so I guess me as a human, I expect everybody to be like me, and they're not. It fucking pisses me off sometimes.
And it's like, sometimes they're not going to be able to treat you as good as you treat them.
Right.
Because they're in different parts of their life. But in the same breath, treating someone good shouldn't just be about money or what you can provide. And a lot of people are like that. And like I said, I don't follow very many people on TikTok, but you're one of them. And then the other one was that I thought was just perfect me and my buddy Brett always talk about this because we have people always say, must be nice. And then the thing you said, none of the people that say must be nice are there at 5:30 in the morning when we're rolling out for work. Cause it's, one of those things where it's like, I say that all the time. I probably said it to you. Must be nice, Cody.
Yeah.
It rolls off, but I've never had to do and build what you've built. And so you're pretty much my hero in this world, Cody.
Stop.
No, but
I just,
that sticks with me where it's just like, damn, makes sense. Nothing in this world is for free.
Right.
And by God, if it is, those people usually turn to be the worst people. So yeah, I think that was rock solid to hear, what you put about your dad and noticing that and still having that relationship and, kind of being there for him. Obviously, it doesn't always have to be automatically people are thinking financially because they go, oh, I just don't have it. Sometimes it's just about having that 10-minute phone conversation, calling and checking in, helping them, move or taking out their trash, this or that. It's like, it's the same point as a child to your dad. You're going to miss some of that stuff one day where you don't want to take any of that for granted. And like I said, maybe that's something after, because I probably watch that it's the same thing, but 15 times where it's just like, that just sounds perfect. And it's, not a perfect situation, but about how that has stuck with you, and hopefully you instill that into your children and they see those things. So I hope that things get better, and you hope that people change. And I think we all have to answer to somebody one day. And I also believe that karma is a real thing.
I've seen it happen instantly.
And I know a lot of people who have done not the exact same thing, but the same thing. They're gonna milk it until it's dry, and then when it's dry, they're out.
Funny instant karma story. I was watching Hillsborough versus Wilmington there last week. Wilmington came to town. I think they won. I forget the difference. It was within 10. It was a pretty good game, but Wilmington had I think he made a 3 and showboated, and the boy tripped over his own feet before he got to half court, heading back. Like he hit the shot and just stood in the point guard's face, like when ran back, like just eyeing him down like that, if that makes sense, and tripped over his own feet before he got to half court. So, and instant karma, I've been on the end of instant karma.
We all have.
Yeah, I've picked on the wife and, lost my drawers before I got down the hallway. Instant karma.
Yeah.
Pants fall off, trip over your feet. Boom. But yeah, instant karma.
Yeah.
Karma period.
Well, Cody, I thank you for making some time to come down. I know that, just one more time, being the backbone of America's in the small business and all that you do, and
sponsoring the joke of the week this time.
You are our number one sponsor for Garage Dad Joke of the Week, and I thanks for sharing everything and the updates on what's going on with your family. I don't know what's going on with this microphone, but as always, I love having you on. You're one of my favorite people to come on, and I probably annoy the shit out of you with it, but whenever you want to come on, you're welcome. If you want to take this seat,
this is my slower season. I think I could probably get in there a handful more times for
21 more.
I'll pick back up. We'll be switching over to mandatory practice. So I think what are we in there? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays.
We'll run one from the baseball camp,
and then yeah. And then, like I said, I got voted in as president at Liberty Park, so I've got a laundry
the
there.
videos out there this summer.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
So, and
then I'm also in the works of getting Wi-Fi out in my man cave. Maybe we could get one over there.
Why? Hey, this travels.
Oh yeah.
All you gotta do is just let me know.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
I'm gonna run some Ethernet cord out that way.
Yeah.
Soon. I don't know, the ground's about frozen. We'll have a hard time getting out the ground. Might just run it over top. I'm sick of hotspot in the Buckeyes game.
If not, hotspot's not that hard.
How about them Buckeyes, though?
All right. Cody, we thank you for coming on the Garage Dads podcast.
Did somebody just fucking steal the Toyota off of?
They might have. It's insured. Oh, guess we'll find out. 1 o'clock in the morning.
Is it really 1, Peach?
It's 12:40.
I still don't see how you can tell that time on
the right hand.
Top right hand.
And I have a watch.
It's 12:40.
Yeah, she called me. I don't know when she called me. So I'll call her in a second. Holy macaroon. So,
did you die?
No.
We're dead. Well, chat, we're cooked.
All right, Cody. Well, thanks for coming on the Garage Dads podcast. And as always,
appreciate you having me, Peach.
Thanks for coming. Peace.